Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. Look, normally this would be the time that I will be dropping in with my morning motivation and doing the things I do from the Visionetics Institute. But I'm coming to you from the Black Voice, from the Odyssey Project, to talk to you about an urgent matter. We are in the middle of a mental health crisis, and I cannot stress the importance of responsiveness in this matter. I think that we tend to hear things and we become deaf to them after hearing them for a while, and we lose sight of the things that are going on, or we like to pretend they're not happening because the idea of confronting the reality and the truth is more than a lot of us are ready to deal with. But the truth of the matter is, we're dealing with a major problem. Um, and I want to sort of connect the dots. For years, I have been working on solutions to address the enigmatic issues that plague the Black community in so many from economic issues, academic issues, mass incarceration, gentrification, and other forms of serial force displacement, violence in the community, the destruction of the family, and what that means to the ability to empower. I've done so much in the way of discovery and dissemination in learning and teaching so that I could try to help people be difference makers because I can't do it all by myself. Um, One thing I did is I discovered a massive, unveiled a massive tool in reducing violence, criminality, incarceration in young Black males, and it is proper socialization. So I immediately developed a program called Black Men Lead, which I have been talking to you guys about. I've worked with my wife with young Black girls, many of which who were detained in youth detention centers. Many were victims of sexual trafficking, sexual abuse, and so many others. A lot of the work was done inside by my wife. And then continued once they were released. She still works to be a voice and a point of empowerment. But back in December, I set up a fundraiser, and I'm pulling it up right now. I set up a fundraiser in December to raise $10,000 to spark, number one, to spark support for Black Men Lead, which is something that should be a national universal rite of passage for young Black males to ensure that they are properly socialized in the Black manhood. That was supposed to be a week-long fundraiser. That was in December. We are now about to enter May, and we've raised a total of $605. Let me explain why I'm here and saying it's urgent. I wake up to or go to bed to an email, a text, or a phone call about a young Black male who is on the edge, suicidal ideations, already attempted suicide, having and displaying sporadic and disruptive. You have to give me. I'm really at a point right now. But anyway, all types of behaviors that are concerning. And what you have to understand is there's this uh, multiplicity of threats anytime you start talking about a Black man struggling in that area where he's erratic, where he is unsure, where he's having some mental struggles and issues. It's a multiplicity of threats. It's not one threat. It's not even a dual threat. You have to worry about whether he's going to harm himself. You have to worry about whether he's going to harm someone else. You have to worry about if he has an episode and the police come out, them harming him, and anything in between. This is real. Let me explain something to you. Since 2013, the suicide rate among Black males between the ages of 15 and 24 has increased to nearly 50, increased by almost 50%. by almost 50%. Okay. We're not just talking about black males, but just in black males, that's significant. And it doesn't just stop there. We are dealing with a crisis. We're dealing with a situation in which we don't provide the resources necessary to support what these men are going through. Uh, Again, we also in the organization deal with and helping women. But right now, what I'm talking about is that's just influence. I remember a time where I was like, man, I would love to have more male clients. I want more male clients because women are more likely to seek help than men. So that was this influx of females, but I was like, hey, I need more males and more black men, more black boys. Well, I got them coming by the load now, and the resources simply aren't there. The idea that we can sit up and talk about black empowerment, we can sit up and talk about black group economics, we can sit up and talk about a future of black liberation, and we will not get behind programs that are necessary to deal with this. Look, do you realize, and this is outside of the black male thing, do you realize that we are literally statistically, at least the last time I checked, I mean, there may be new numbers in, but the last time I checked, we were leading in a statistical category in suicide. And here's the real scary and horrible part. It was children between the ages of 5 and 11, blacks. Social media has started to wreak havoc on the minds, the self-esteem, the self-image. And a lot of that is because we do not have a system in place to where we are properly socializing and gearing our children to know who they are. They're seeking an identity and an acceptance from a system that isn't designed for them. And it is wreaking havoc. Young black males going to, and I've written about this in the Miseducation of Black Youth in America, which was my 16th book. I've also followed up and written about it in my 24th book, which was Academic Apartheid. But what we have is you send a young black male into the public school system right out the box, 5 years old. He's under attack. A system that has a teacher population that is predominantly female, white, middle-aged, um, who has a natural aversion to black males is who we're entrusting him to. The moment he gets in the classroom, he makes her uneasy. At 5 years old, he makes her uneasy. So she's already looking for a way to get him out of the classroom. The quickest way out of the classroom is a special education referral. You know, he's oppositionally defiant. He has ADHD. He has other learning disorders that require he be in a special setting. And so they refer him. And then a lot of parents not understanding that they have the power to veto that and say, no, I don't want um, uh, my child to have uh, this special assignment. I don't think it's necessary. I think we need to work harder to discover how my child learns. My child learns differently doesn't mean that they can't learn. They may be exceptional. They may be extraordinary. They may literally be a genius. And you simply using standardized methods of teaching isn't appealing to them, isn't reaching into what they're drawn to. And so I think we need to work harder on this, or maybe I need to pull him out and homeschool him. Maybe I need to look for alternative programs, but we're not going to do that because what I know, and I've written a position paper on this, is that when we put those little boys into those programs, we begin the process of alienating them from the academic system. They feel unwanted. They don't feel they fit. They can't find their place. And eventually they drop out, which increases their risk of becoming incarcerated, which increases criminality and exposure to violence. More exposure to violence increases their risk for being violent. And we have to understand that all these things are in place for a reason. This isn't by accident. It's our responsibility to take action, and we haven't. I have consistently talked about the need to be more engaged and involved in helping young black males navigate the labyrinthine corridors of manhood. And when you have 1.5 million men missing in the community, whether they're incarcerated, whether they are struggling with addiction, or whether they've simply checked out, that's a problem. That's a big void. And when you understand that a great deal of manhood is learned and developed through observation of it being modeled by men. It is imperative to understand that we've got to put something in place. We need a national, universal rite of passage. It needs to be a national network. Cities need to have a program that their Black boys are going through so that there is a national and universal understanding of what's expected. They need to know why they're important. They need to know why they belong. They need to understand that there's a system that is literally trying to destroy them. They need to understand that a lot of the struggles and the frustrations that they're dealing with can be overcome. When I look at the number of young Black males under the age of 25 that are literally contemplating suicide, it breaks my heart. You know, I came up at a time where there was a lot of racial volatility. I was reared by the son of a sharecropper who was one generation removed from slavery, born in 1909, my great grandfather. And so I know what racism looks like in the South because I lived with a person who went through it and know can talk about Jim Crow like crazy. And I went home with him to Louisiana many times and saw how things were as a young kid born in the 60s and reared in the 70s. And yet I never had to deal with the contemplation of not belonging in this world at a level that I decide to end it all. Now, I'm pretty sure that there were kids, but I mean, that wasn't a common thing among kids as I grew up. Now, it happened, but it wasn't happening at the rate it happens now. So we got to say that there's some other social influences, and I think social media is playing a major role in this, and that's for our young girls as well. You look at Instagram, there's a study that, and Facebook is owned by Instagram, but there's a study that shows that Instagram is extremely dangerous for young teenage girls. But social media in general is presenting images that can't be lived up to, demands that are unrealistic. People are being judged by the Eurocentric idea of what is acceptable, what's Eurocentric idea of what's beautiful, Eurocentric idea of what's professional, Eurocentric idea of what is classy. And everything, everybody's trying to live up to a standard other than the excellence within. Your standard should be the best version of yourself, not what someone else thinks of you, not what someone else wants. But we're dealing with that. And because these kids have so much exposure to these devices on an ongoing basis, they're literally the ones that are governing them. That's why it's so important to have a process in place where we are inculcating values, interests, and principles that serve the Black community into the minds of these young people at a very early age, and that we are consistently reinforcing it and that we are aware of what they're dealing with. We have been disconnected, we have been pulled out, we have been set aside, and now devices are governing the development of our children, and it's costing lives. Let me reiterate this. This isn't about some glossed over idea of let's just do something to look like we're busy. I'm talking about the fact that we're losing kids. Then the ones that we're not losing are maldeveloped, or ill developed, or hyper violent, are hyper emotional, and there's a reason for it. It's not just some happenstance. It's not something that's in the water. It's something that's in the content. It's something that's in the social message. It's something that's in the content they consume in music and in videos. You take a scroll through TikTok. There's some good positive stuff there, some funny stuff there, but there's some scary stuff. Go on Instagram and go down deep into where young people hang out, not where you're going to do your thing. Because see, where I do my business, there's professionalism, there's a love of self and beauty because of how I set my channel up and what I did. But go look off into what they're doing and how they are dealing with, and it's dark in there. It's something that's trying to show the girls that their body is their greatest asset, and boys that they got to do whatever it is to get the bag, because the only thing that's respected about them as men is their money, and it doesn't matter at what cost. And you got brilliant minds that are in danger because they don't fit in. You got brilliant minds that are in danger because they don't have access. You got brilliant minds that will never come to the full fruitfulness of what they're capable of because they haven't gotten the support. It's time to stand up. It's time to make a difference. It's time to do something. I am inviting you, challenging you, bringing you into this and saying we've got to do something. I created the program years ago, and the program is expanded. It's no more just a rite of passage. It's wraparound service, mental health resources, skills training resources, and so much more. But we have to be able to serve this. I mean, I can't possibly deal with everyone that's coming to me. I'm trying to find them people. And here's the thing, there are plenty of mental health resources out there, but they're not Afrocentric. And one of the things that I believe Dr. Naeem Akbar and Dr. Amos Wilson did, and I have followed on their heels, and I have talked about it, wrote about it, lectured about it. You cannot use a Eurocentric system of psychology to treat Afrocentric issues. The experience is completely different. Psychology is so much about experience and interpretation of those experiences that you cannot use a Eurocentric idea, a Eurocentric system. Our experience in this country is so unique that nobody can come close to it. And so we need to be operating and sending our kids to people who look like them, who have experienced life in some form, shape, or fashion close to what they're living, so that there can be a sense of relevance and understanding, because you can't even treat someone if you can't build trust with them. We have work to do. We have so much work to do. Like I said, in December, we set out in a week, said we can raise 10,000 in a week. I mean, just with the followers I have, that is should have been well within range. I mean, a few dollars from each person, you should have gotten there. We are 5 months beyond that, and we're at 600. And I think I said $5. We'll go back. I want to be honest, about $605 in 5 months, where we were looking to do. I mean, do you actually think that that can actually, people actually, talk about what I do and, how I operate. And what you don't understand is, if that's the support I got, who's paying for the work I am still doing in the community? Yeah, me. And that comes at a major price in so many ways. I'm stretched, and my love for my people won't let me quit. And it should drive you, because this is a problem. And here's the problem. And because we have been trained to be so individualized in our thinking, that we don't often see the problem if it's not directly on our doorstep. Here's the problem. While you may be aging like me, I'll be 55 in a few months, and things, hey man, I've lived my life. I've had some unbelievable times and I've had some rough times, but I can say I lived. If today is my last day, I can say I lived. But here's the problem. I'm leaving some children, some grandchildren, and eventually some great grandchildren. No time soon, but you have to say that when you got baby grandkids in their teens. No time soon. Look, my concern is, what am I leaving my grandkids, my great grandkids? What am I leaving them? Am I leaving them a world they can navigate? Am I leaving them something that they can work with? Am I leaving them a world better than the world I was born into? Have I done enough to sit up and say that I've impacted this world in a way that made things better for those who follow me, for my progeny? And that's what drives me. Can I navigate this labyrinthine corridor? I've done pretty good for myself. I've had some rough moments, made some decisions I wish I could have back, but overall, I have lived a life. I have enjoyed being on this planet, and I can tell you that I'm okay. But my thing is, I want my offspring, my progeny, to have a better life than I ever thought possible. And the only way that I'm going to do that is I've got to protect them in the beginning. I've got to build them up. I've got to prepare them. I've said this so many times that it's hard to even fathom, that people haven't gotten it. But education isn't just about the attainment of academic skills. Education is about the preparation and empowerment of an individual to go out in the world as an adult and not only compete but win. We have the responsibility of doing that. The very first thing that you must do if you're going to empower a child to be an effective and productive adult is you've got to give them a sense of self, a sense of identity. We're in the middle of identity crisis. No one knows who they are because everybody's looking to someone else to define them. Everybody's asking social media how they should behave, how they should look. We just lost another Black lady, a 45-year-old Black grandmother, because she wanted to get the BBL. And that comes from, whether people want to admit it or not, a social culture that is breeding the idea that you're not good enough, that you can't take the natural approach to becoming healthy and fit, that somehow you have to look exactly like this to be important, to be loved, to be considered beautiful. And we're dealing with all of this. So in essence, it's more than just what's going on. But when I get an email, a minimum, an email, a text, a call a day from another mother or grandmother, or in some instances, two parents. I have a couple that have two parents households that you would never think that it would be a problem because they're doing fairly well. And yet here we are. Nobody's immune to this. This isn't just a poverty. This is a Black issue, and we need to deal with it. And we have to understand that these social constructs are not designed for the advancement of Blacks. These social constructs are designed to protect the power of those who are already in power and to utilize and exploit those who lack power. And the only way we empower is we have to keep our children's minds pure and aware of who they are long enough for the true identity of self to set in, so that when it becomes assaulted by everything on the outside, it can still hold together. We are exposing children to a system that is destroying them by way of self-identity, self-image. It's breaking them at the very core. Your self-image is the very foundation on which your your self-confidence, your self-esteem, and everything else that's going to determine how high you aim in life. All of that stuff starts with your self-image, and it's under assault right out the gate. We've got to do a better job. We have to do a better job. So again, I am calling on everybody that watches this to support the work we're doing in the Odyssey Project. Continue to refer people to us for resources and help. We will do what we can with what we have, and we will continue to work tirelessly to make sure we're reaching people in the best way we can. But we need more resources. It's that simple. So and so let me revisit this. So for the people who think doing this stuff is about money, $605 in 5 months. Who can that serve? That can't serve one person in 5 months, and I'm getting them every day. We have got to do better. We have got to do better. And no, we can't go the system route. We got grifted big time by Black Lives Matter to the tune of at least $100 million. And the community hasn't seen any of that. We've seen some mansions purchased. We've seen a bunch of other things, but we haven't seen anything resembling real, true resources. They built the explosive growth on the blood of Mike Brown. And yes, some people are looking into them, doing personal investigations and everything like, but as of right now, they walked away squeaky clean with $100 million that could have easily been invested in true uh, wraparound services and programs. Like, man, one thing that I'm a real huge fan of is, uh, man, Jason Wilson, and I think he's in Detroit, Michigan, the Cave of Adullam. He's a martial artist, and he uses martial arts to teach young boys uh, s- so many different principles of manhood, but also to bring young Black men back into the homes with their children and with their exes, and to restructure and rebuild the family. And I'm so proud to have been to come across this brother, and so programs like that, I think he's on his way because he's got the attention of Lawrence Fishburne and some other people now. So I think he's on his way. But there are programs out there, programs like I said, like what we do at the Odyssey Project with Black men lead in restoring ghetto's forgotten daughters. But we're going to need your support. And I am challenging everybody who sees this to act accordingly. We keep putting it off, and it's going to cost not just us, it's going to cost our seeds. And to me, that's the most important thing right now. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. I still have so much I need to do. And you guys have an unbelievable day.